Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the August 2025 Comprehensive Astrology. Welcome back everyone. I hope that you are enjoying this build up through the 2025 calendar year cycle. In this video, I'm going to come on and give you some intuitive messages about the month ahead of August, as well as throw some astrology charts up on the screen and talk to you about specific transits that we can expect for August 2025. Yes, if you enjoyed the video, do hit the subscribe button below and check out the description box for some of the channel offerings, and let's talk about August. Let's dive into it a little bit. Okay, so as we came out of Cancer season in 2025, when we built up to we built through the Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. We went through some sextiles as well between Jupiter and Mars Mars and South Node in Virgo, as well as having had the Cancer season. We should have began to get very clear on what needed to change, and there should have been a lot of options beginning to form. And Leo season this year, August 2025, deals a lot with making these options a little bit more fixed. So we may be coming into August having a sort of inchoate understanding of how we need to move forward. And this will now need to be supplemented with some more material firmness. So there is a really nice feeling about the month of August 2025, you all. It is hard, okay, for those of us who are very hesitant to make our options more material, for those of us who are very hesitant to actually put the key into the lock and unlock the door. This will be a very hard time because it can start to feel kind of like a mental maze here, as we have a lot of different ingredients, we have a lot of different possibilities that we're working with, and a lot of different updates as well, different ways that we're calibrating our nervous system and calibrating certain elements of our life. We are needing to take a big exhale here, and we're needing to sometimes just put a list of tangible options in front of us, take a few days deliberating on this, and come out with a decision made. We have the energy of decisions with a capital D coming in August. It will be hard to continue past this time without knowing a little bit more of a structured timeline. As I've been saying on my Patreon page in the August 2025 Sign by Signs, as well as July, which you can find linked below, there is a bigger phase that we went through this year from Cancer through Virgo. This has taken a lot of pressure off. This has showed us pathways to relief. This has showed us how to no longer be so strained, tense, just off track, okay? And now implementation is coming, especially towards Virgo season, okay? Virgo season this year is going to be about implementation. Leo season is about seeing the options materially in front of you. Also seeing that certain problems or certain issues that have been weighing heavily on us, burdening us, are on borrowed time, okay? So not sometimes just accepting the wrong context, being okay sometimes that we have to change course in life. I've had a lot of people coming to me, you all, during this time, not knowing what course to chart, okay? Knowing that they want something else, knowing that there is perhaps dissatisfaction with the current stability, and a very inspirational kind of muse about perhaps a somewhat inchoate idea of what things could be instead. Really wanting that different track, but it just not quite being tangible enough to really engage it. So Leo season this year, you all, fixed fire 2025 in this Quicksilver airy energy that we're coming into, as you'll see in the astrology in a moment. This will be about not complicating your path to tangibility, meaning this will be about not withholding from yourself linear paths toward the better outcome. Sometimes here, yes, if we've been struggling, or if we felt very kind of discouraged or burned out or hard done by, things have to get better before they can get best, okay? Or you have to get things better before they can be everything that you've ever wanted. So, we have to think, can I get to this place from here? Or is there somewhere else that I need to do or somewhere else that I need to go so that I can get to the place that I'm feeling? Sometimes this is like a 3 or 4 way climb, or there are 3 or 4 base camps that we have to pass through before we can get to this like final area, basically. So some of us are like, I just want to like fast track to the final area, or I just want to like, go straight through without the base camps, like just grand stand of like a major summoning of energy and just like kind of explode through to this like thing that I've always wanted. It's going to take a little bit more of a marathon than a sprint to get through this, you all. And within that marathon, it has to be a very light touch, and it has to be very light. So like, if you can imagine, this is like packing lightly, you all. This is not being too weighed down. I've been talking on the channel and on the Patreon page a lot about quicksilver movements this year, unburdening ourselves, sometimes having less, even if this sometimes means less income or less, jobs or something, so that we have more time to heal, or that we have more time to do what really matters. If sometimes this means having less possessions so that it's easier to move around if one needed to, this is the best thing that I can offer for you all right now. Contrarily, it's wonderful to have a wonderful stable home or a wonderful security, but it's just not realistically possible for most people right here either. So if you do have that, count your blessings. But if one hasn't had this or hasn't been like shooting for this or saving for this for like so long at this point, it's okay that it's not manifestable right this second. And what that causes us to need to lean into is a much more efficiency-oriented, minimalist, quicksilver, lighter body, lighter spirit body, okay? And greater openness to receiving things that are not so heavy. So do you want heavy things? Okay. Relationships that take up all your time. Okay. Soulmate, quote unquote, flings that occupy you completely. A bunch of material possessions. Okay. A household that costs so much that you can't ever do anything else other than pay on it. Heavy things, dense things, burdensome things. Things that take up all of our time, money, and attention should not be that easy here. Okay, so if you have that, it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel burdensome, and it's going to feel like you're having to like tend to something all the time. Pay attention to what you have to tend to all the time. These bodies that we have, yes, need a lot of attention, don't they? We've got to eat, we've got to groom, we've got to earn a living, most of us. We've got to put a lot of time into upkeeping a bare minimum. And what we're really needing to see, and this is beautiful for Leo season this year, you all, it's so beautiful. It's like with the sun moving into Leo, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune also in Aries, creating this great masculine configuration. It's almost like the Fool in the tarot, isn't it? And the Magician in a way, with these degrees. It's like the Fool and the Magician mixed together. So this is a lightweight kind of masculine energy here, you all. This is not the sort of like stored up, stilled kind of feminine. We will move back into that later this year. But this is a wonderful time for some people to move. Okay, this is a wonderful time for some people to release certain things and to not think the same way about material possessions or heavy things. Okay, jobs that take up all your time, relationships that take up all your time, heavy commitments, heavy contracts, heavy this and that. There's going to be a bit of an allure with it with the fixed Leo energy, but I think that the grander scheme here is one of greater lightness and one of greater mobility. Okay. And, do you have a good weekend bag, essentially? Can you get out of town if you feel like it? Are there places that you can easily go to feel better or recharge that don't like break the bank? Do you perhaps have something in your house or living situation that is just a nice kind of easy flowing routine, nice easy flowing spiritual practice? Routines are quicksilver here. Having had this Mars South Node conjunction in Virgo that we came out of July with should have given us a lot of energy to organize, compartmentalize, and have just like a lighter empire, per se. So things in your life are in better boxes now, or things are in better compartments, or things aren't just scattered about. And there's also, if you're getting this reading in late July or not, even all the way through Virgo season, honestly, up towards Libra of this year, there's a great chance to go ahead and get that stuff together and to go ahead and unload some stuff. It's fine to have time with the dumpster here, okay? Donations are great. Selling things is okay too, but sometimes that takes a lot of time and energy and communication. Sometimes things just need to go, okay? And it's the same sometimes also with certain like bodily issues here as well, like digestion needs to happen. Some people need to kind of like lighten up their body holding, okay? So it's great to have lean, lithe, flexible bodies here, adaptable bodies. Careful about too much muscle generation here. Something that expands you, makes you heavier, that takes a lot to upkeep, right? In the same way that economically, this is important to consider too, like check into your business, check into your householder holdings. Is some of this a little bit too hard to maintain, or is some of this a little bit too heavy and difficult to keep up? You can also get things here to where they are maintainable. Okay, so new lines is a great keyword for Virgo season this year, and this general time through Leo as well, with having had Mars and South Node in Virgo. So like fixing things once and for all, creating new lines that can be maintained in the future. So like some people have to call in savings here. Some people have to call in previous reserves in order to do this, but it has to be very well planned. And we have to understand very clearly that we won't be back in this situation again if we're going to deal with it now. Okay. So like what we don't want to do is we don't want to deal with it now and see like a few months from now that we're in the same predicament again. So it's like total solutions or nothing. All this Virgo energy. It's like, this is also the South Node in Virgo. It's like either we resolve this or we don't touch it. We're not going to be in these perpetual loops of keeping up something that is just a problem, And something else that I wanted to talk about in the intuitive messages before we get into the astrology is refocusing of energy. If you guys remember in the 2025 year ahead forecast, which I'll link below, one of the main things that I was talking about for 2025 was how there was a reappropriation of energy. There now, if we've been struggling with that, and I need to make a mid-year update video, but this is kind of along the lines of a message I would have for something like that. If we're struggling to reappropriate energy here and we're still pushing or still straining the things from like the last few years, you can also start to feel a bit of numbness or damage during this time, and really pay attention to that, okay? Like, what's the word? Like calluses, right? Like for any of you who've played the guitar or any stringed instruments, you would know that you have to build up calluses in order to be a very good player, and it almost kind of like numbs the fingers and makes them stronger so you can't feel the pain of the strings. There is something like that here too. There's a callousing. So this can be good or this can be bad. Desensitization, callousing, numbness is a key concept that I'm getting for this time too. As some of us have had the nose to the grindstone to such a degree that the nose might be getting worn down. Okay, so notice that as well, where the enamel is worn down or where you're eroding into something that's valuable to you because it's too overused. Overuse injuries, stress injuries. Jupiter in Cancer won't tolerate this stuff, you all. That was at a height during Jupiter in Gemini. And as I already told you in the Jupiter in Cancer video, which I'll also link, we're now going towards a softer volume. And we are now not in like major crescendos of volume, whether we're talking energetically or even just how loudly perhaps we're speaking or how loudly we're projecting our image, energy, or energy in general. Yeah, that's toning down a little bit. And can you guys feel that? And can you see how that kind of combines with the 2025 Quicksilver energy in a more harmonious and compatible way than what we were experiencing, for example, during Jupiter in Gemini? So you do, in August 2025, you see this kind of like real emergence of what the actual 2025 timeline is, especially as we go into Virgo, okay? But already in Leo, it's there, and there's just got to be an expression of this at both a psychological and physical body level of the lighter, more quicksilver, softer, more harmonious frequency. So just notice when you're going into psychological places like, I've got to bear down on this, I've got to push through and force this to be done, or this is heavy, but I'm going to make it happen anyway. Notice whenever you're there, because we had plenty of time to be there, and now it's almost a habit for some people, and it's not even that they need to do it, it's just that it's what they're accustomed to, and we got to break that loop. So it's also like, in the tarot, like the devil archetype in reverse, where it's like you need to break away from a dark force, or you need to break away from something that's no longer serving, okay? To put that in kind of a cliche way. So like breaking shackles, okay? Breaking connections to ball and chain type things that keep you slow. And some people, it's going to be a slow process because it can be ungrounding also to do that. And for most people, though, totally relieving in a positive way to finally have a little bit of a lighter experience. But some of this will be culminating over a long time, and there's only so many things you can do to lighten your load, but those things do need to be done. It's like any type of mitigating effort here is very rewarded. The snake year is all about mitigation. It's all about, in some cases, hybrid solutions, or, multiple streams of income to kind of supplement this like one huge income that you lost, or multiple means of energy rather than like relying on like one thing. So there is this kind of diversification thing with snake, but the problem with it is also like each individual thing can't do everything. So you're kind of like relying on like a lot of things to be working, or you're relying on kind of like an empire kind of mindset just to like consolidate one livelihood for some people. And I don't love that either. But when you're dependent on one thing, then it's codependence too. So this is just kind of like the earth plane, and questions about materialism and sources of time, money, or energy will be a big thing in August 2025 too. And for some people, you may have come out of July with like a new source of income, or with new levels of equity as well for some people, depending on where that's at in your chart. So that will be needed to perhaps be fertilized more, or that will be needed to be seen as a new source, and maybe like productivity or infrastructure put around that. So there's a change also in production here, and a change in what we're creating, I feel. But yes, I do want to move on to the astrology now, everyone. Let's put the charts up on the screen. Okay, so let's talk about some dates, you all, and go through August really quickly. Okay, so we start the month, August 1st, 2025, with this Venus square Saturn in Aries and a Cancer. And this is such an important little transit that starts off August. And why is that? That's because this mirrors the Jupiter-Saturn squares that we went through all of 2024 and into 2025 with. Obviously, the final Jupiter-Saturn square happened at this degree. And this is going to heal a lot of that up, you all. And this is going to show us who we were to ourselves over this last year or so. And some of us are going to feel sadness, okay, and insecurity because we mistreated ourselves, especially if that transit of Jupiter square Saturn was strong in your chart. You may need to write a love letter to yourself, okay? You may need to write an apology letter, okay? Some people do need to apologize to themselves here because I feel that we pushed ourselves too hard, or I feel that we also put ourselves into situations that kind of got us off the path, okay, in some cases, or got us like confused about the course we were charting. But the good news here is that there's reconciliation, and we need to see our insecurities. We need to see, there's something about deep insecurities with the Venus square Saturn, as we also have on August 2nd, Moon in Scorpio trine Jupiter in Cancer, coming right through that with a similar kind of healing energy. And it's going to tell us about what we have to now release and what we have to now bring to softer volume, at the same time as we see some of the deep insecurities that motivated certain self-destructive behaviors for some people. And for some people, it's also about therapy, okay? I don't want to project out there that this is like mental illness or something. It's not that. But some of us have just had a certain like core reasoning as to why we were doing things that got outdated or got misaligned with the paradigm, where it's like, for example, you're in a paradigm that's more quicksilver, lighter handed, airy, but you're trying to be like very dense and forceful and overwhelming and too overextended. I mean, that's a distortion, right? That's an energy inversion. So that's the main part of it for a lot of people. But it's important to check in with mental health. You know, do I need some therapy? Do I need some type of healing practices? It may not just be so logical like that either. It may be spiritual health. This may be time to go to church for some people, or this may be time to work with some type of like spiritual healer as well, to kind of like pull some of these insecurities to the surface, because a lot of people don't know what they've got down there. Okay. This is something I've been dealing with a lot of people in my own life as well, is they've got something that's brewing beneath the surface that they're not cognizant of. And it's kind of like coming up to the surface and channeling in ways that work against them. This could be like addiction, escapism, right? Or this could be also giving people the wrong idea too. Or being kind of like wishy-washy, right? With Saturn and Neptune also moving back towards Pisces for this entire month and retrograding. There's kind of like, oh, I don't want to go into the new thing yet. I don't want to be that new version of myself. I don't want to be out of that, you know, this long-running cycle we've been in for this entire century so far, for the entire 2000s, basically. Like, I'm scared of this new frontier, or I'm scared of not having these previous stabilities, as dark as they were. So we're seeing what we're too insecure to move beyond, but the time will come where we have to move beyond some of this stuff, and we do have an extension, thank God, for a lot of people, from about now and September really until about March 2026. So we've got a little extension of time to, you know, get certain things in order and to resolve certain problems, and to, in some cases, you know, fund that sabbatical or fund some kind of greater shift. But we have to see how we've been in our own way with that too. And that will start right at the beginning of the month. Now, August 6th, 2025, Mars in Libra. Okay. Debilitated, obviously, but good this year. Not bad, not bad. Mars in Libra is not going to be bad this year, because a lot of us really do need to reanalyze what we've been pursuing, right? Mars is what we're inspired to pursue, how we use our masculine, right? And it did a lot of really nice things in Virgo. A lot of it was beneath the surface, though, and a lot of it was not super cognizant, and a lot of it was systemic in nature and dealt with certain hierarchies and systems that we have in our lives. Now that some of that stuff is established, and you'd want by August 6th to have some of that established. So if you maybe needed to take like the first week of August or the final week of July to like organize things, get things backed up, get certain things paid, get better budgets instituted, go to charity, go to storage, you know, go to the dumpster, okay? Even perhaps like preparing to move or something for some people. Any of that's nice to kind of like get as minute as a way as possible, getting some of the debris ready for that. Because by August 6th, when Mars goes into Libra, we're going to need to begin analyzing why we pursued certain things, what we wanted to achieve through that, what the greater strategy at hand was. Were we just trying to get by every day, or was there some type of greater goal at hand? And Mars in Libra is always like, what is the bigger thing here? What are we like? What is the forest for the trees, you know? And as Mars transits from Libra through Scorpio through Sag, you kind of get that answer by the time it gets to Sagittarius. But so we're going to start that process here in August of like, am I okay with the bigger picture situation going on here? Also, August 8th, Mars trines Uranus. So Mars in Libra trines Uranus in Gemini. And it sort of creates a little grand air trine with Pluto in Aquarius, doesn't it? So this is what's motivating me to tell you all about how like lighter things are getting. This is an airy month. This is not a month to get bogged down in like heavy, dense stuff. This is like flights for some people, flying, just flying through things and, you know, get to places quicker. you all. Like, that's sort of the metaphor. It's like, we may need to fly through this. We may not need to get hung up on things. We may not need to get bogged down. We just need to, like, move, okay? And not get too stagnated and slow. This is a quick time, you all. Quicksilver. But also it opposes Neptune and Saturn. Ouch. So Mars in Libra opposes Neptune and Saturn retrograde in Aries. We've been preparing for this, you all. This can be a little bit of a nervous breakdown for some people, but don't worry about yourself at all. But like, you guys can know through the astrology that by like August 8th, okay, 2025, you want to have systems in place. You want to have gotten ahead a little bit on work. You don't want to be putting yourself in situations where, you're having to overdo yourself, or you're, maybe not present when you're driving, always with the Mars-Neptune or Mars-Saturn oppositions. It's not as bad as Mars-Uranus or Mars-Pluto with accidents, but with Mars opposition to Neptune and Saturn, there's a bit of a spiritual crisis for some people. There's a bit also of a material error as well, like a business could be not structured right, or some type of like, solid quote unquote thing could be kind of, could be not working as we've planned. So for that reason, we need these Quicksilver systems to help keep our mobility and our utility intact. And if you do have anyone in your life who is like kind of unstable, now might not be the best time to be engaging them so much. Or if you have any volatile situations, not probably the best time to really push the envelope with it. But obviously, Mars oppositions to the outer planets will always, cause inflection points to generate too, so we can't always control it totally, but to what degree we can control it. It's nice to keep things serene, okay, rather than volatile. August 9th, we have the full moon in Aquarius. That's going to activate Pluto, and it's also going to activate, obviously, the Leo season that we're having. So there's going to be a question of power and a question of what type of power we're growing right now. For some people, it's not really the main question that they're asking, but we might need to look and be like, what is the battery or the engine to this? There's something about engineering or energy sources, utilities, okay? Like what feeds this, what keeps this going? And something that can really grow with that. August 11th, Mercury goes direct in Leo. So yes, we are starting this first half of the month with Mercury retrograde in Leo. So again, it's about finding the parts of ourself, right, that we want to pull forward and the parts we want to discard. So separating and filtering, again, the parts that have gone out of time or gone out of fashion for our lives, and then pulling forward what has worked before. There's a major filtration process that has really been happening since Jupiter went into Cancer, but that will amp up through August. August 12th, one of my favorite transits of this month, and maybe even this year, Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, exalted. Some people could start a relationship there. Some people could revamp their entire lives there. Some people could quit a job. This is a big change for the better. So if there's any big change you've needed to put in your life for the better, that might be the time. For some people, time to have that talk, or time to break up, okay? For some people too. Like, this is not always what we thought it was, but it's setting a better course. And it's, in some cases, it's a bit of an ultimatum, but in other cases, it's like a never again too. Like, I'm never putting that into my body again, or I'm never betraying myself again. Like, look at self-betrayal or betrayal from other people and see how, never again could be implemented, because that will be lovely for Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. Also, nutritious foods, okay? Nutritious broths, okay? Like things that have nourishment. It's a good time to nourish the body during that time, and to not take more than you're receiving, or to know where things are unreciprocal, to know where something's not giving enough, and to not get hung up on that, and to move on. And then we move quite a long period of time without anything too crazy. August 23rd, we have new moon in Virgo. We start up Virgo season, I believe, on the 21st. And it's very productive, you all, and these new systems work a lot better. Maybe the body is working a lot better for some people. Maybe the endocrine system is working better through having better nourishment. Try to get ahead. Try to move quickly, because the rest of 2025, Venus going into Leo on August 25th, and moving forward throughout the year, there's going to be things that kind of come up, and there's going to be stuff that we sometimes didn't want to deal with, but we have to get things better. So this is where we need good systems, and it's where we have to be very devoted to the ultimate good, okay? So sometimes that means quitting something, or sometimes that means knowing what is the bigger issue at hand and not doing the smaller thing. So hierarchy of priorities. We've got to know that here. And we've got to also be very, very methodical if there's a lot that we have on our plate. Procrastination cannot have any place during this entire year cycle. You guys would already see a lot of chaos if you ever had that. Because again, this is like fast-tracked, harmonious, softer volume movements. So, yes, if you guys do want to see the August 2025 sign-by-signs, they will be available on Patreon. I will link that below, and you can get free trials, I believe, over there still. So if you wanted to just come and try it out for a little bit, those are available over there. If you wanted to see what is happening for your individual star sign, the content is really good, so definitely come check it out. Do like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube as well, as it really helps the channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a beautiful August 2025. Much love. Bye.